Good evening, parents, players. Welcome to our first team meeting.
Do I have to stand up?
Yes, you do.
Oh, really?
I'm Katie Burrows. This is Nick Coane, and this is your coach, John. Some very important information, and then we'll get through the logistics afterwards.
So, hello everybody. Hi. So happy to be your coach. The first order of business, I asked everybody to bring their cell phones, so I want you to take your cell phones out. And what I want is for everybody to text me. So I'm going to give you my number.
I will text
After you text me, when I get home tonight, I'm going to respond to your text. And then you're going to take my response and put my number in your address book so that if you're late for practice or can't make a game, you have my number. And also, if I'm wondering where your daughter is, because she's going to play a critical position in our game that's going to start in 10 minutes, I can call you and say, where are you? All right? And so text me with, say, hi, my name is, and my daughter is, and then I'll know who you are. So it's 925 451 451 3255.
That's mine.
925 451 3255.
Hi. I love your talking.
Wow, I'm getting text messages. I wonder who's messaging. So that's the first order of business. And I just want to mention that that is one of the keys to success for this team. Communication. We have to have good communication for our team to be successful. And that's communication between the players when they're on the field, communication between the coach and the players and the coach, communication between the players and the parents, between the parents and the parents, and between the coach and the parents. There cannot be too much communication, ever, I don't think. Though maybe about halfway through when I'm telling you, maybe think there's too much, or some of my emails I send, but no, there's never too much communication. The problem with a lot of teams is there's lack of communication on the field, lack of communication between the coach and the parents and the coaches. So we want to have lots of communication. Miscommunication is a bad thing too. And so communication is going to be key to the success of this team. And there's 4 other keys, but I'll get to those later. So I have been coaching soccer for a very long time. I've coached under 8, actually under 6, boys and girls. I'm coaching high school right now, girls. I coached high school boys, and every age in between, boys and girls. Trust me, there is a difference between coaching boys and coaching girls. It's very interesting. Don't listen to those people that say we're all the same. There's a different approach, and they're different. There's not one better than the other, just different. I have 3 kids, all of them over 20. My oldest is 37, and she's living in Connecticut. She has a son who is 15 years old and a daughter who is 6. So I'm a grandpa. And it's hard to believe that he's a teenager now. He's going to get his license. I live in Pleasant Hill, and I work in Hayward. So a lot of times I have issues with the Caldecott Tunnel, making it to practice. So there may be times when a coach will just take over to warm up because I'm stuck on the other side of the tunnel. But I don't miss too many practices. I try and make every practice that I can. So the team vision. There's this thing that I've noticed about lunar versus solar. And I don't believe that there's that much difference. One of the differences I think in assigning someone from lunar and solar is talent. The amount of talent. And I really think talent is overrated. It's I've got this list. So consistency, effort, enthusiasm. Those are more important than talent. And I have a list that I really like. It's 10 things that require zero talent. That's going to really lead to the success of the team or of anything you do. These are the 10 things that require zero talent. Be on time. Don't need to be talented to do that. Be prepared. Have a good attitude. Have high energy. This one's really important. Have a positive body language. One of the things I like to do is have this routine of warming up before a game, and you got to look good. You have to have good body posture, and you have to look like you are a world champion team when you're warming up. Because the other team looks over and they go, "Oh, I'm scared of playing against that team because look how good they look." And it's just because we're really good warming up. It's our body language. That's important because then when you have the kickoff, they're worried about you guys. So positive body language. You want to put in the effort. Don't need any talent for that, but you want to put in the effort. You want to do extra. You want to have a strong work ethic. You want to have passion. And the last thing is you have to be coachable. All those things you don't need talent for, but those are the things that are going to bring you success. Not just in soccer, but in your life. And so, I really am looking forward to coaching this team. I think they have a lot of potential. One of the keys, because we're not looking at talent, some of the keys that we're going to look for, there are 4. There are 4 things we need to work on. And I talked to the girls about this last night. And I asked them, what are the 4 things that we need to work on? And I told them, one of them is not 1v1. It's not being good on 1v1s. The main thing I want to work on this year, starting in the beginning, is defending. Because a really good team has to be really good at team defending. One-on-one defending is good, but team defending is really good. And people get this mistake that a good defender will take the ball away. It's not really what a good defender is meant to do. A good defender has to slow the ball up and make them make a bad pass, because a good defensive team, if you notice, they steal a lot of balls because they make the other team not pass where they want them to pass. That's a good defensive team. So we want a good defensive team, and I've told them what I'm pushing for is for us to keep the ball on their half of the field, which means they got to work hard. So I've been running them. If they don't have anything better to do, make them run. Because we have to have a lot of endurance if we're going to play like that. I want to play with a high line, attack the ball early, and the other good thing is, guess what? If you take the ball away in their half of the field, you're that much closer to the goal. You don't have to worry about trying to make it up the field. You just shoot on goal, get lots of goals. So there's a benefit for doing that. The second thing that's really important is passing. We want to get good passing, and there's 2 types of passing. There's passing to feet and passing to space. Passing to feet is harder. Very talented people are good at passing to feet. You have to have more accuracy to pass to feet. Passing to space is easier. Passing to space, you just have to make it past the closest defenders and get it out there. The thing that you have to do when you pass to space is make sure that the ball ends up somewhere where it's closer to your teammate than to them. And as long as you can do that, and that's a big margin of error, you should be able to do that easily. So we're going to work on passing. The other part of that is receiving. And receiving is not trapping the ball dead here. We're talking about first touch skills, where when you touch that ball, when somebody passes it to you, you have to control the direction it's going and the pace that it's going in that direction. Because again, the easiest way to keep control of the ball is when you receive the ball, that first touch puts it out away from the defender to where you can get to it first. So you can create a situation, a first to the ball situation with yourself. So the ball comes in and you touch it out to somewhere where you have to get first to the ball. That's actually better because you're moving it away from space. So we're going to work on a lot of not trapping the ball, which the younger kids, the coaches always try and get them to trap the ball dead. We're working on moving the ball with the first touch. So we've been working on making turns. The ball comes and you have to get the ball so that you're turning and facing the other way. That's one of the skills we've been working on the last couple of weeks. And lots of things like that. That's 3. The final thing is something that you guys can help me with too, and talk about that later, but it's increasing speed of play. Because one of the biggest differences between a Premier League team and a bronze team is really the speed of play. If you go watch in tournaments, the level of the play, you'll see how much faster the really good teams can move that ball around. And that's really a skill that's here in your head. It's physical, but it's a lot mental. And the only way we can really do that is practice. You can't do that on your own. It's got to be practice. And so it's what's called muscle memory. And yesterday, I asked the girls if any of them ever did a hand clapping game. You know what I mean? You know how they do these little combinations of clapping, right? And no one does it fast or perfectly the first 2 minutes that they learn how to do that. But give them a month, and it's like awesomely fast. And it's nothing different than that. When a soccer ball comes, the first time you have to sit there and think, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? But if you keep doing that same thing over and over again, it's going to come just as fast. And then you're going to see speed of play increase. And you don't have to have talent, it's just working at it. And then you get better. So that's what we're going to work on. That's my plan. Throughout all of this, I'm going to be talking about strategy. I'm planning to run a 4-3-3 for those of you who know soccer. It's 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, 3 attackers. Midfielders are a triangular midfield that controls the middle of the field, and we don't have any wing mids. The wings are going to be controlled by either the 2 wing forwards or the 2 defensive backs. And we'll see how that goes. I may change it up, but that's the plan anyway. I have a quote from John Wooden. He was a UCLA coach. I think he died in 2010. Great coach. Has lots of good quotes, but this is one that I like. And it defines success. And I want to sort of carry this through. Success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to do the best of which you are capable. So, success is peace of mind, you know. And that's true. I mean, if you ever think of times when you were really successful, you weren't nervous, you were excited, but you had this peace of mind. And it's a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to do the best of which you are capable. And I've seen teams that we almost made it through the tournament, but we didn't make it to the final. But we had this feeling of success because they did the best they could, and they really played well. And you feel good about it. Maybe you didn't get a trophy, but you feel good about it. That's the success I want to see. So let's talk a little bit about games and tournaments. Games and tournaments. So we have, in the early season, for those of you who are familiar with Eclipse, we have lots of scrimmages. And then sometimes in the fall we go and play with DASYL, DAYSL, whatever that league is. But I consider all of those games just scrimmages. So I am going to freely experiment, move girls around, and see, how they can develop in the different roles. When we get to tournaments, it's, I think, more important that we try and perform well in a tournament. It's always nice to bring home some bling, you want to bring home that trophy. So we'll probably going to solidify the roles and responsibilities and put the players in the best position they can for us to win a tournament, or at least progress and do real well in tournaments. So it won't be as much shifting around. There'll still be equal play, but because we want everybody to be improving, this is instructional still. We're not trying to improve our club in the California standings to be the best team. We're trying to improve the players. So we're going to do that, but you'll see in tournaments it will be a little bit different, but everything else is a scrimmage. And so we're going to be working on that. And the thing that, I mentioned this earlier to some of you, even if you think you're a great defender and that's your role and I'm going to be a defender, you need to play forward so that you can get the mindset of what a forward needs to do, how a forward plays, how a forward tries to score, so that when you play your good defensive role, you've got an understanding of what that attacker is trying to do, and you'll become a better defender. And the opposite too. If you're an attacker and you think that's what you are and that's your position, you have to play a defender so that you can understand who you're going up against. So when you do become that attacker again, you'll have a better understanding of what that defender is trying to do, and you'll do better in your role. So everybody needs to be rotating around. The other story I like to share is I had, I think she was in 8th grade. And she refused to play anything but central defender because that's what she always played and that's her best position. And I forced her to play up forward. And I think the second game that she was up top, she scored a goal and suddenly she was like, wow, this is sort of fun. And she ended up becoming one of the best strikers on her high school team. And if I hadn't forced her to do that, she would have been stuck, being a defender, and she was an okay defender. She was a great defender. She was an awesome striker. It's unbelievable how she could turn and get that ball in the goal. It's like, wow. So you never know. For games and tournaments, I want your goal to be to try to get there an hour before the game. Listen carefully. Try to get there an hour before the game. I'm not saying you must get there an hour. If you try to get there an hour before the game, I'm okay if you get there 45 minutes, but try to get there an hour before. It's really nice to be able to see that everybody's there and not have to worry about who's going to show up and who's not. And you all have my phone number now, so if you're going to be late, you can just text me. I don't mind getting text while I'm warming the team up and we're waiting for a game because I really need to know, and I'd like to know that, yeah, I'm on my way, or no, sorry, we can't make it, this happened. It's other than just leaving it up in the air. Update Team Snap. I think, is Team Snap up?
It's all up, yep.
All right,
We are
so
waiting
update Team
for
Snap. I use it for games.
We are waiting for 5 people to update their stuff. Mostly for the tournaments is the most important.
Right. So I look at that. I would like to have an assistant as we're warming up just to shag balls, and sometimes I like to warm up the keeper, and so to have him keep an eye on the players to make sure they're moving for warm-ups before a game. So I don't care who that is, but somebody who can come on the field with me to help me out.
During the games.
Before the game,
Before
during the
the
warm-up.
games,
Yeah,
on games,
during the
yeah.
warm-up. Halftime, I don't want any snacks at halftime. Just give them water. Water is what they should have at halftime. These are not 45-minute halves, and so they don't. If you give them the snack at halftime, it's not going to do them any good until the game's over anyway. But they do need water. Make sure you bring plenty of water. After the game, you need some good snacks, and you'll get an email from me because I have a list of yeses and nos of what they should have, especially if it's a hot day or if we're in a tournament and it's like the 3rd game of the tournament and they've really expended a lot of energy. It's really important what you put in them right after the game. So I'm going to send you a little list of what's good nutrition. I am a marathon runner. I just finished a marathon last Sunday. The Giants. Got an after 60 PR. I started doing my PRs again after I turned 60 because I can't. There's no way I'm going to beat my PRs when I was younger. But so I got an after 60 PR. Wow. It's a training run for the double dipsy, which is going to be end of June. So, which is it's shorter. It's almost half the distance, but it's up and down.
Yeah.
So I know about nutrition, so I know what's good for you after a really hard workout. So look for that email. After the game, it's really important. So after the game, we're going to have a team meeting. We always have a team meeting after the game. So who can tell me who is on the team? Who is on our team? Besides the girls.
Oh, you want all of us?
Yes.
Us.
Parents are part of the team. Parents are a very important part of the team. Without you guys, they're not going to get to the game. Without you guys, they don't get to practices. I know you've experienced this feeling. You're sitting there after the game. Girls are over there, coach is talking to them. Wonder what they're talking about. They've been there a long time. Must be something good. And then you get in the car. So what did they talk about? I guarantee you're not going to get even 50% of what was said. Yeah.
10.
Right? Now you are part of the team. You're an important part of the team to progress these girls to get better. The only way they can get better is for them to understand what we learned at that game. The only way you're going to know what I tell them is if you're there. So everybody must be at the after game meeting because we're all a team. And you're going to help me because you're not going to start coaching them something that's completely opposite of what I just told them on the field. We're going to be in alignment. We're going to be in alignment because you will hear what I said. Now, if you have a disagreement with what I said, that's fine too. But what I ask is if you disagree, just give it 24 hours, send me an email, and we can talk the next day. But I don't like keeping you parents out of that team meeting because, you know, that's counterproductive. If you hear what I have for them to do, now you know too. So this is the strategy we were trying to do and we didn't do it and this is what we need to do. Now you can reinforce that. So it's really helpful for me too for you to be at that meeting. So I think that's a little different from most coaches.
Yes.
But we are a team. This is our team, not just this. This is our team. Now I have to talk about sideline ego.
She's looking right over here for some reason.
Trying to move away from this area?
Okay, now I know who I have to watch.
You're manager.
So,
She will tell herself.
We just started with on the team, so we get to yell, right?
That's the beginning.
so I guarantee. So I've been a referee too. I've been a referee for about 18 years. I have never in my entire career seen a referee change their mind because of something somebody said. I've never seen it. I've
Guys
seen
might have changed
the coaching. Positive encouragement comments are fine, but please do not coach. Even if you're saying the right thing, do not coach. I usually, if you notice my coaching style on the field, I don't say too much, and what I say is always off the ball. Because we're talking about speed of play, right? We're talking about making them respond quickly. Well, if they're listening for somebody to instruct them, that's a quarter of a second that it takes them to hear that, and another quarter of a second for them to process that, and then they start to do it, and by that time it's too late. They need to process that themselves, and especially on the ball, because when you're on the ball, you've got to, if you play soccer, there's a lot going on when the ball is coming toward you. You got to worry about the defenders, you got to listen for your teammates. The last thing you need is for some other voice out there to be trying to tell you what to do, because you have to move fast and you have to do something very quickly. And they have to learn that, and they have to learn that on their own. So you're going to have to let them go and do it on their own. If they mess up, then they'll learn. You can't have them listen because I've seen kids and they're listening for their dad or listening for their mom to give them instruction, and that slows up their play, and they never learn, and then they don't get creative either. Because through mistakes sometimes you get creativity. I know some of my best moves I made was because I messed up, and it's like, oh wow, that worked. Let me see if I can actually do that next time. So you got to let them play. Let's see. And that's it. That's the end of my list. Does anybody have questions?
All right.
Yes.
So can you describe what you meant by your last of your top 10 things to be, is coachable, be coachable? What does that mean?
To be coachable means to be willing,
Listen, girls.
to be coachable means to be willing to listen to the coach and not become defensive, but be willing to try things new, try things that the coach has told you is going to improve, and believe it or not, the coach does know what he's talking about and has seen it happen.
Sorry, don't listen to me. I'm already answering them.
That makes sense.
Or answer questions for people.